And a lot of the things that you're describing is something that we have found similar or are most familiar with. As I would say pre-1960s, before we had the industrial age and women, and let's even think about before when the wars broke out in the early 1900s and women were forced to go into work. And a lot of times people say that that was where we broke our hierarchy. That's where we messed up as a society, because women then found that they were able to do so much more. And I am one of those women. I have always been encouraged by both my father and my mother. My father was in the military, and my mother, she starts small businesses. And so I really enjoy the picture that they have. And so when it comes for me and dating, although I haven't found my guy yet, I'm not in a rush, for one, but I don't believe that should stifle or stop me, because I believe that God did create a man who is perfect for me, whom I can compliment. And I think of a little bit more of the shotgun rider. And what I call the shotgun rider is, so the husband is the one in the driver's seat. But at some point, he's going to get tired. He's going to need a break. And that's when me as a shotgun rider takes over and I take the wheel and we keep going. I'm looking for, when it comes to my list, I'm looking for someone who is naturally inspired, someone who wants to do more, who doesn't need an external reason to do more, who just has that fire in them, someone who is handsome, someone who is accomplished, someone who is well-spoken, someone who is confident, someone who is God-centered. And those things, when that man are those things, and that's not all of my list, but when that man is those things, I feel like he wouldn't be intimidated by my success and my aspirations. And the same way that I compliment and inspire and help him achieve his aspirations, he does the same for me.
You ever heard of this thing called hypergamy?
Say that again?
Have you ever heard of this idea called hypergamy?
I have not. Please educate me.
Hypergamy is it's a theory, and it's frowned upon in a lot of ways, because a lot of men look at it as like, you'll be happy with a woman doing your best that you can, and she'll leave you for a guy who's richer or something like that.
Understood. I am feminist in many different ways. I believe that women should aspire to be as much and as powerful as they should be. And I believe if they should want to aspire to marry, they should. And if they don't, that is their prerogative. And that as women, we were, on a biblical sense, put here as a helpmeet for men, but we are here as a helpmeet to help them, but not just serve them. And so, and the reason, and that becomes so complicated when it comes to, and especially if you're reading the Bible, you have to go to what's called a concordance, because the Bible wasn't written in English. And that's how we get so messed up. We get so confused, because we read submit in the Bible, and it says, wives, submit to your husbands. And men often took that as so literal until someone who was smart enough to say, hey, let's go back and look in the Greek and Hebrew when this was originally written, and let's see what the word submit meant to them. And submit means to respect. Women, wives, respect your husbands, respect what he's doing. And that is very different than our English Western version of submit, which almost means a full servitude in its aspects. It could be thought of as some, and which was also seen in the earlier years as a form of enslavement.
Question. So what's the difference between help and serve?
The difference between help, so if I'm helping you, that means that I'm coming with you to do certain things so that we can accomplish the same goal. Serving means that I am only submitting myself, or I am only doing things solely for your benefit. So if I'm serving you, that means when a server comes to your table, I'm taking everything that you need and being at my best behavior so that you can have the best experience possible. If I'm helping you, I'm showing you, oh, wait, can you tell me where aisle 7 is? Yes, if you go down there about 100 yards, it'll be on your left. So that's me helping you, but me serving you is, I'm just like, oh, no, what do you need? Let me go get it. You don't move.
Right.
So, and you're a help me, so I'm supposed to help you. I shouldn't serve you all the time. I believe there are appropriate moments of servitude to show respect and to show gratitude and to show love. And love being the most important thing is that I love you. I do this because I love you, not because I should serve you, not because you've done anything, or that because of our roles, this is just what I should do. You've proven yourself, and I love you for who you are, for our unit, for our family, as my husband, as my partner, as my mate.
So basically what you're saying is you get to pick and choose how you help me. Is that what you're saying?
No. So that's where the communication comes in. And and so
I'm being facetious just for the sake of conversation. So
no,
bear
absolutely.
with me.
No, absolutely. No, please give them to me. Give me all you got.
I'm gonna give you a caveat. So
okay.
Some people I've heard some people look at feminism as it's like women looking at society as a buffet where they pick and choose, like they want equal pay, but they don't want to die first, or they don't want to stay on a sinking ship. You understand what I'm saying? Or they want, they want equal treatment, but it's like, if you throw a drink in my face and I throw a drink back in your face, somehow the man is the villain, right? So yes, it's like it's kind of, so it's when I hear you speak, like just now you were talking, it's kind of like you're reserving the right to pick and choose when to actually be a helpmeet. You see what I'm saying?
Because that's when those lines begin to get blurred, and that causes a lot of confusion. And I believe our society is really confused right now because we're in relationships, but we're acting like we're married, especially in that early 20s stage.
Right.
That's when you see a lot of people creating their lists, and they're like, okay, well, this person checks all of these things off on my list, and then okay, so now I'm going to basically become a wife for him. I'm going to cook all these meals to show that I am worthy of his affection, his love, and him to propose, and for him to ask me to be his forever partner, for him to ask me to be his wife. But during that dating process, often fail to see when is that reciprocated? What has he done? And in what you've shown and what you've explained to me, and from what I've understood, is that everything she should be doing is that she should be working for herself so that she can improve the man. Right. And I can agree with that, but only to an extent, because it also sounds like she shouldn't achieve too much so that because she could threaten the man.
Well, see, and it's funny that that's what you heard.
Okay.
Because I didn't say that. Okay. I just want to point that out. That's not what I said, but it's funny.
Oh, no, you didn't say that at all. I said that
you get what I'm saying?
You could threaten the man if you continue to have all these materialistic things, because if you've done all these things for yourself, so how is that going to serve me? Like if we're on a date and you ask me, so you've done this, so how does that fit into my plan? Because
it seems like you haven't found that kingly character out there yet. I mean, you're only 25, so you have a little bit of time. I get it, but I don't. What experiences have you had? Like, anybody came close? Have you found any type of leaders in your experiences?
So actually, I have been proposed to before, and I did say no, because he did not fit that criteria.
He didn't fit the criteria.
He did not. He did not match my list. And I'm grateful for the experience, and I want to use that experience to empower women to say no, especially because a lot of times men are encouraging women to be wives, and women oftentimes so desperately wanting to be wives. And also remembering that we have just an ugly rate of divorce. It is basically 50. So every time you get married, you got a 50-50 chance.
You got a 50-50 chance. Well, okay. See, and that's the thing with marriage, but let's leave that. Let's put that to the side for a second. I want to ask you a question. What's most important, his plan or your list?
Oh, his plan for sure.
Okay, so this guy
Because
who
his plan
proposed to you,
will
he didn't have a plan.
say that again. No. He
The
had a
guy,
plan.
the guy that proposed to you.
Oh no, he had a plan. It just wasn't
Okay.
good. Because I do believe in a sense of having of there being a level of this hierarchy. And so I am looking for a man who can lead. He could not lead.
What age was the proposal?
22.
22. Okay. And where did he, if you could give any type of specifics or close to that, where did he falter in his leadership ability?
So where he faltered in his leadership ability was just honestly, he lacked confidence. There was a lot of comparing. I was in school. I had my plan. I knew what I was doing, and from my list, there was way too much. He was honestly wanting to be controlling, and I believe that is just the most unhealthy thing for anyone. Is to find someone
for anyone or for you?
Oh, for anyone.
For anyone.
Because every person is given their own mind. Everyone is given their own set of abilities, and I believe that they need to discover that so they can have a fulfilled life.
Gotcha.
And being controlled, and no human should ever be controlled by anyone.
So you don't even want to be controlled in the bedroom?
So, do I want to be controlled in the bedroom?
You gotta want to be controlled at some point. You have to, because it's what we do.
So now that one I will definitely say is a matter of opinion, because I would need some type of biblical sense, or I would need something to justify or to add justification to why that should be so.
Well, you see, okay, so herein lies, I think, a little bit of the conflict, if you will, right? So have you ever heard of the phrase, I am a vessel to be used by the Lord, like, or some type of phrase to that effect? Okay, so in my universe, right? So you have the man who he's looking towards the Lord for understanding and for leadership. And then, so you have the woman who should be looking towards the man for understanding and leadership, right? So just like if I'm following that ideal of trying to be a vessel for the divine plan, then in that same respect, a feminine woman actually wants to be a vessel in the divine plan of her man. You get what I'm saying? Now, I'm seeing from you is that you're a little bit resistant to that vessel idea.
So my first concern with that statement is that you're picking and choosing when you want to follow God. So if you don't believe in marriage because there's some issue that you don't want to get into, that's totally against God's will. To have sex outside of marriage, to cohabitate, all of these things are thoroughly written out in God's word that should not be done. But you want to fulfill God's plan and be a vessel, but it sounds like everything is to your benefit. And so I guess the question I have is, if everything does not benefit you, do you think that is a healthy relationship for a woman to pursue?
A man with a man of the right mind, of course it is. you were built with, for example, you were built with breast, right?
Okay.
It's for you to give milk to the young.
Okay.
Right? It's for and you also have them to attract the man, so a man can choose to impregnate you, to allow you to fulfill your general purpose of being a wife and a mother. Yes.
Not necessarily.
Okay, and see the thing. I think that's where your femininity stops, right there.
What happens when the wife is unable to bear children, or she doesn't want to bear children, or what happens if the man is unable to fertilize? What happens at that point? And I believe that family is much more than the wife serving the husband so that he can serve you, but a continuous cycle of serving one another as well as your family, and also in this equal, but again, this hierarchical sense. I do not believe that my sole purpose on earth is to be a mother. And so,
Okay.
although I would love to be a mother, that is not what will give me my ultimate fulfillment in life. And I don't believe that marriage has to be attained before, what is the age of cutoff for at-risk pregnancy? It's like 36 or something. 35, 36 is when you get the age of having a high-risk pregnancy. I don't believe I need to be married and having a child before 36. If that is, would I like to be married and have a child before 36? Absolutely. But my life is filled, I'm more than a one-dimensional person. I have so many dimensions to me.
And that's great. But here's what I want to, here's where I want to get around to. The alpha man that you say that you're attracted to, he wants to have children with you when you're 30 or younger. And he also would in a lot of cases. Huh?
Is this a hypothetical question, or are you telling me?
No, I'm letting you know that like a lot of alpha men, they want to have children with women that are under the age of 30, and they're also looking for women who desire to have children, who that's a part of their desire, like, you know, they're a part of their list, or, you know, what have you. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that you might be the type of female where you know good types of men, right? But I think because of your, you know, your position, or, you know, your desires as far as the things you want to accomplish, you may not actually attract those type of men. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And that's her purpose, is to create that, and it's not to create a name for herself. It's not to do more. It's not to serve other people, serve her community, to be an inspiration, to be a light to someone else. Those aren't her purpose. Is solely to have children. Is that what you're saying? Yes or no?
No, it's not that her purpose is to solely have children. In the natural order, you know, a man is vulnerable to the plan of God, and a woman is vulnerable to the plan of her man or her husband. But when you begin to have a level of resistance towards the plan, that's where I think you begin to stifle your feminine energy. Not feminism, but your feminine energy, because I don't think you're allowed to actually okay, so I want to give the example of like a person who says they're inspired by God to do the will of God, and they kind of like turn everything off and leave it up to faith. Or if you ever heard the expression, you know, God take the wheel, or just let go and let God. It's a sign of sacrificing of self and faith and not just faith, but vulnerability. You understand? If you're not willing to be vulnerable, then it's hard. I think it'll be hard for you to actually find, or to even recognize, a man's plan that you can be vulnerable to submit to. And I think that's where, like, maybe your strength and your femininity might be blocking that at this stage, you know, and maybe at this stage in your life, because I mean, you've been proposed to once and you said no. Have you ever found another situation where you found a man that he had leadership qualities, but he just didn't propose yet?
So after that, I definitely delved into just working on myself and bettering myself, and finding what God had for me in my path, which I have beautifully found. And so no, I have not pursued any other dating into the intent of marriage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have another question. So what do you think about the notion that if the more a woman achieves, or the more she empowers herself, that empowerment can actually bring her to a level of masculinity, and then which will kind of make her unattractive to the type of man that her heart actually desires. What do you think about that?
I believe that's something that society is honestly battling a lot right now. Is even it was in a song by Beyonce, and I can't tell you who was speaking, but she was basically saying that it was the song "Flawless." I wish I could quote it.
Mm-hmm.
That women should aspire to be more than just to be married and to just have children, and that
Mm-hmm.
we should search for the social, economic, and political equality of women and men.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that every woman has a place in a high position.
Mm.
And I believe that leadership, and so even historically, women have shown to be more powerful and more ruthless than men when in leadership. That it does the amount of accomplishments hinder her from being feminine, which hinders her from finding the man she actually wants.
When a woman is trying to accomplish a lot of things just for her own benefit, then I feel that it's like she's almost in competition. It's like an unspoken competition between her and her man. Okay, so anything that she's doing, it has to be in line with whatever it is he's doing. Now, I'm not saying that women cannot strive for, achieving goals, but you have to understand that it's really one or the other, right? Either you're going to be a successful woman and you're going to strive for your goals for your own achievement. And I think there's a part of it where you're going to have to sacrifice a certain type of relationship with men. You're going to have to sacrifice that, right? Where you'll be a professional, you'll have all your accolades, you'll have, you could be a CEO, this, that, and the third, but you won't actually find an alpha male for you to depend on, because your overall vibe is that you're depending on yourself for everything. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just that it doesn't work when it comes to a woman wanting to be a good woman to a good man. What will happen if you're all about the empowerment in your own name is that's exactly what you're going to build, just your own name. You understand what I'm saying?
Beyonce and Michelle Obama and all
it's hard for you to compare yourself to these people. These are celebrities.
Well, so what makes it hard for me to compare myself to them?
Because they're a part of the 1%. They have different circumstances.
Well, we're actually both part of the 1%. The 1% is what 1% are you talking about? You're talking about of wealthy. When it comes to the world, everyone on this call is within the 1%. So she may be higher up on that 1% due to the millions and billions that she creates and all of the deals and the content and the just the expertise that she creates, the producing. But I don't find her to be any way unrelatable to me. The thing about the late RBG, who was a mother who served this great country and had a name for herself, and who was a wife and who was a mother. So my question is so if they were able to fulfill their feminine energy and also fulfill their roles as women on earth by becoming mothers, while creating a name for themselves and attaining accolades and attaining fame and recognition, and most importantly, influence and power. And power, the biggest thing, if we have to be compatible, which is one of the reasons that I specifically for myself, why I said no to that proposal. Why I have taken my time, because I believe in the dating process of finding someone who is compatible to do exactly what you just said, and who our visions and what we believe that God is telling us to do and what we're put on this earth to accomplish and all that we can accomplish aligns with one another. We're becoming one under this hierarchy, and because we're following God's goal and his alignment for our lives. So there is this level of not necessarily full submission in your world, but also just this compatibility of, well, we can make this work together so that we can build this empire that you maybe remember that show Empire. We're creating this empire to become this loving and influential and powerful power couple. Is that what maybe I'm hearing? Am I understanding that correctly?
Do you think relationships are supposed to be 50-50?
In relationships or marriages?
Okay, marriages, yes. Marriages.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I have to be specific. I have to be specific. Marriages. I believe in it. That one honestly is a little tricky. I believe that it should be 50-50. I believe that it is, if that is what you two have agreed on, that's really difficult to say. Like for me, I would love for my husband to be the breadwinner and for him to take care of the home, and that we figure out how we reallocate my income so that we can serve our household. And
Right.
that's ideally how it would go in my head. But
Right.
I know that in the time that we live, and that things may shift, but I am believing God that I will get that Prince Charming, and that is how things will be, but that I am fully capable of being 50-50 if God is like, well, no, this is, you said that you want all this is what we're going to do. But yes, if we're at the point of marriage and we have talked about this, so I know exactly where my funds will be going. But if you say and it's not even necessarily sending it to you, it's putting either all of our money's going into the same account, or we've already agreed upon before in marriage counseling and what we will be putting in the account every month and where that money will be going, so that there is an itemized understanding. Because again, I believe that women and men should, because statistically you have a 50-50 shot. And I believe that is something that everyone should keep on the forefront of their brain, because no one wants to get burned.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the faith and vulnerability. It's like you have levels of. What I'm seeing is that you have levels of faith in like the institution and the, like you even mentioned counseling, marriage counseling. But I'm like, where's your faith in the actual man? Where's your willingness? Where's your willingness to be vulnerable to me, the man, your man? Like, where's that? Like, how's your relationship with your dad? Like, has your dad ever done anything for you to distrust his manhood or anything like that? Or even for your mom to distrust his manhood, or any examples that you've seen growing up?
So I'm taking a moment to think that would cause me to distrust, or no, I think no. Honestly, his influence showed me what I should be looking for.
What you should be looking for. Okay.
He was kind. He was funny. He was gentle. He served God. He worked hard. He asked my mom of her opinion. He was self-seeking. He would say, anything for you, darling, anything for you, baby. You know, like those things. And it wasn't that he was just doing that to please her, but in which he definitely was, but it wasn't she should do everything for him. And they were definitely they were a team. And I believe that relationship should be a team. And that, and going back to my earlier analogy of the shotgun rider, my dad was definitely the driver. He drove the car. And when things had gotten tough, or when he got tired, when he got sick, mom hopped over in the driver's seat and she took the wheel. And then when he got tired and when he was done, then they switched back over. And that's how teamwork, and that's I believe a healthy version of marriage and relationship should work. It should be teamwork.
So then you're not really looking for an alpha male then. You're looking for someone to kind of meet you in the middle. Is that accurate?
No, now I'm definitely looking for someone to lead, but I'm definitely looking for someone who respects me and respects my goals and respects my ambitions and my aspirations in life. And an alpha male can and does do that. Marriage is about compromise. Relationships are about compromise. Like no matter what type of relationship you're in, everyone should be compromising. That's what makes relationships healthy. There shouldn't be one party, whether it's man or woman, who should constantly have to give up a portion of themselves for the other person to make them feel better. Both parties' needs should be met. And I love the book. I'm not sure if you've ever read it, but it's very popular. The 5 Love Languages, and showing that this is how you love your partner and you can help serve partner, and I'm using that serve word just to kind of use this continuation of the similar words of how you can just love on and serve your partner through acts of service and quality time and physical touch. And then even when it comes down to finances, like how can you do that? How can you be a team and compromise in those things? And what are you willing to do? And it requires to have two healthy people who respect and love one another, or a relationship.
But can I ask you something? Has there been a guy in your life that you really desired? Not necessarily just lust or anything, but like you really saw that, you saw that leader and you just were drawn to him, or you had great chemistry with him. Did you have a guy like that in your life?
I have. I will admit I have.
Where is he?
In North Carolina.
And why aren't you with him?
Because our alignment was not the same.
Your alignment wasn't the same. So why didn't you just
good guy? Just because he was a good guy doesn't mean he's my guy.
Yeah, but why? But you saw the leadership. You're very attracted to him. Why didn't you go with his alignment?
Because he wasn't for me.
What do you mean?
Just because he was a good guy doesn't make him my guy. And so, and the grounds that I want to be sure that we don't march into is that the first person that you meet that meets the qualifications on your list, like that's it. And I believe that's where we mess up a lot of times in society. It's like, okay, this person, I like this person. They align with some of the things that I like, and this is it. I'm going to make it. And that's where we get a lot of heartbreak. That's where we get failed relationships, because we've chosen too quickly without really recognizing the person. Because even though I may have fancied him, there were also some character flaws along the way. So your list. So would you say that there's flaws to your list, or what are you saying? Oh, I believe every list has flaws, which is why I believe we need to be careful about our list. I believe that our list sometimes, especially depending on how we create it, especially if it's too superficial in the sense of, oh, well, he has to be 6'3", he has to have this job, he has to want to live here, he has to dress this type of way, like that can mess us up. You can miss your person because you created something that wasn't for you.
And like I said, if she can find a man with the right plan, she should be willing and she should want to be used to help that man carry out that plan. But if she's focused on like the semantics of being used, or wanting to have a like an out to be able to do her own thing, if she doesn't totally go with the plan, then I feel like she's stopping her femininity. Like she's stopping her feminine energy from fully developing. You understand? Because there's a level of vulnerability to being human in the first place, right? And then there's another level of a man of being vulnerable under God. But then there's another level of a woman being vulnerable under a man. And I think most women, most or her husband, right?
So what type of men would you think that I attract?
I think you would attract the type of men that you could be, basically just a partner, just like you can get married and you can find compliments that fit well within each other. But I think there's a certain level that you might not hit as far as like the total like leader, alpha, it's because alphas don't really compromise like that. Alphas are looking for that willingness of servitude, because I don't want to control you. I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want to do. But I'm looking for the woman that is naturally desiring to do that for me as her alpha. But that's what I'm saying. Feminists, on the other hand, they can have feminine ways, but their femininity is for everyone. You understand what I'm saying? Like their femininity is for corporate America. It's for, you know, like you say you're a mentor, you know, you do pageantry. Like, do you want to find a special man, an individual, a man that is unlike any other that you've ever met? Or do you want to, you know, just be your own person and like kind of complement another, you know, a guy's life? And in the end, you'll find that that man usually is not fully an alpha because he begins to compromise his identity. So inherently, he's not actually an alpha. You get what I'm saying?
So it's so funny that you make it sound that like women have to choose. And the thing is that there isn't a choosing.
So that's where the disconnect is, where it like I said, it sounds like, I mean, I'm not trying to label you like that, but it sounds like
no.
you're more of a feminist than a woman who's feminine. You understand?
But see, what's so funny is, and what saddens me so much for you is that you don't think the two can coexist. I'm both feminine and I am totally empowered. I believe in myself. I believe in my destiny. I believe in my God, who is empowering all of that. And I believe in the spouse that he has for me. And I believe that I will be a great helpmate for him. And I am the ultimate level of femininity.
Have you ever met a man that you wanted to submit to?
Have I ever met a man that I wanted to submit to? So let me rephrase your question. Have I ever met a man that I wanted to marry? No, not yet.
No. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's another thing right there.
That's where we're always disconnected, is because we have two totally
okay. One second. No, one second. So if we go back to my definition of alpha again, alpha is the first. Alpha is the first. That means if I'm submitting to the institution of marriage, I'm following behind the guy who created that institution. Do you get what I'm saying?
Do you know the guy who created that?
No.
You know
whoever he is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. Would you like to know his name?
What's
can
his
spell
name?
it for you. G-O-D.
Oh, come on. Listen.
You know the man that you said is up here on, you know, when you said God, man, woman, this guy up here, he created marriage.
But so, okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying is, submission and marriage is still two different things. Marriage is a formal ceremony to an institution.
No,
submission is between you and I. Submission is between you and I.
Okay, first,
you understand?
What you just described was a wedding, not a marriage. And then, and so a submission, I can agree. And so submission, are you thinking of it in the older sense when it comes to like in the historical sense, or are you thinking of it in the Western
I'm thinking of it in the primal sense. I'm thinking of it as like,
so define submit.
She's willing to be a part of that, journey. She wants to be a part of his direction. That's submission. Submission. She wants to be a part of that.
A part of his direction. Submission is wanting to be a part of the
man's direction. She becomes a vessel. She becomes a vessel to be not controlled, but to be used by that man in his journey, because she wants to be a part of that journey. She wants to see where that journey ends up. You understand? So she becomes a part of it. He has a mission, and she's a submission. You understand?
Okay.
She's a part of his mission. You understand? So my question is,
and you will understand a kind of understanding of what you what your of submission.
So as close as you can get to my definition of submission.
Okay.
Do you think you could actually submit to a man before marriage and the contracts and the institution of it all? That's my question to you.
Could I fully submit, or could I have a level of submission? I'm sorry, you have to be technical in these things, because life is not that black and white. I really wish it would make everything so easy, but life is it's not one dimensional. It's full of so many dimensions. And I believe, and so to go further into that, is I believe that especially if you are intentionally dating, that you are working towards your goal is marriage, that there is a level of submission based on what you said. And I will redefine, I will restate what I think I heard. And submitting is I'm saying, okay, I believe in his plan and I'm going to trust him and where he's going. And so putting this in example, when what you're doing it's all about you, like it's putting you on this pedestal. It's all these materialistic things that are causing you to that just make you look good, and then it makes you almost, and correct me where I may be wrong, come out of your natural order. I believe that's where we misunderstood that natural order, especially from that biblical sense, and that women should be totally submissive to their husband. And I'm when I specifically I believe in only being submissive to a husband, someone who has pledged their life to me in front of God, friends, and family. And we can trust, and we build this threefold, that we can build this relationship and this foundation so that we can grow together. And that his plan, and so I'm trying to use some of the words that you're using to have a fair comparison. And his plan in his being my future husband's, his plan resembling what God has for our family. And so it's not something that he just has for what he wants his life to be, and then so how he can serve us, but how we can serve the world, how we can serve our community, how we can serve each other, how we can serve our family. Because I believe that is the true testament of love. And love is, we like to say that in some ways it's unconditional, in other ways it's conditional. It's unconditional in the sense of you have to meet these conditions so that it can be unconditional, which is where it becomes really tricky when it comes to explaining it. But I guess when hearing your side and what you think, and how you believe that it should be operated, what happens when the man's plan proves to not be best for the family unit?
A lot of times we try to we think we know God's plan, and we're planning while God is actually making the plan. Like we're asking God to cut time. We're planning the picnic while God is planning the hurricane for tomorrow. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're
saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like a woman who submits, she's like, look, I want to have a picnic, but whatever God says is whatever God says, and that's how she's looking at her man, the alpha. But when I hear you, it's like, well, shit, I'm gonna have this picnic regardless, because this is the day that I had to plan the picnic, and maybe I'll only have it for an hour, or I'll only bring, the chicken, and I'll leave the other stuff at home. So if it does start to rain, we could leave before too much rain starts. So you're still kind of like leaving yourself options to do your own thing, and all I'm saying is that's the difference. It's like a feminine woman defers to her man. A feminist she's like, well, I'll defer to you, but to a point. And it's like, well, that's where we start to lose each other. You see what I'm saying?
I am feminist in many shades. I'm not that harsh right side of feminism of or not right or left, but that harsh side. I'm not going to, you don't have to open my door. You don't have to do this or that, because I am also a lady, and that doesn't make that woman any less of a lady. But these are these things that I believe that work well for me, and that are conducive for that would make me attractive to my future husband, whom I believe is an alpha by my definition. And see, that's the thing, and that's where that's where we will continuously disagree, is because we've now allowed for our own individual definitions to come into play, and since we've allowed that, there's going to be such a hard time for us to ever agree. And so we'll definitely always agree to disagree unless there's a new level of learning that happens, and we're like, oh, okay, you know what? I was wrong on that. You know what? I actually agree with that. She said something that I kind of like, I thought on that, and maybe she was right. Or, you know what? I kind of liked what he said. Maybe he was onto something. At this very moment in my life, in all of my preparations, I could honestly not be at any more peace. My life is great. I am so blessed.
So you're okay with being single?
Oh, absolutely. Because for the season that I'm in my life, it is perfect. I I have no desire at this very moment to be married. Do I have a desire for a relationship that will lead to marriage? Yes, but it is not right now. My
Okay.
goals, my aspirations are to continue to grow and to learn and to love myself and to serve my communities and to serve my family and to love them and be a great member and empower young women and to help them reach their full potential. And in all of my doing, I know that I will run across him. And I know that we will meet and that we will expand our peace and our happiness. And that relationships we will only add to each other and not bring peace and happiness. We'll only add to each other's peace and happiness.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you think from this point on, your desirability will increase or decrease?
Oh, my desirability will probably stay about the same because I'm very whole. I don't like to brag on that, but I do like to broadcast it at the exact same time. That I'm a whole human being. I've found peace in my life. There were moments in my life where I didn't quite know what was next, what I was doing, and in all of my continuous getting, that is how I was able to find where a peace and get my peace back. And I also know that if I had jumped into a relationship or a marriage too early, I may not feel this euphoric at this moment.
Where is getting a husband on that list of goals?
Where on my list of goals, it's probably right now at number, in my hierarchy, I would say it would probably be at 3 right now.
3 right now. Okay. It's not a priority for you right now. And that's
It's not,
okay.
it's not the top priority.
The top priority right now. Right.